Ladies and gentlemen, of late, most of you have been asking me how do I establish whether I'm paying rates or whether I'm registered for rates payment. And I would want to delve into that because this is not a topic that is spoken quite often out there for people who own properties within the urban or within the rural areas. And why you pay rates is basically the same way you pay a tax on VAT, on pay. So basically rates is a tax at the county level that you pay annually by virtue of you owning a piece of land or a property within a given county or within a given city, municipality, or even a town. And you find that different counties have different rating levels in terms of how they rate, because rating is a process that is passed in the county assemblies. So different counties have different formulas on how do they do this. But of course, rates is basically a percentage of the land valuation, and counties do this through the valuation law, which they basically prepare every year through the finance bill that they prepare at the county level. So you'll find different counties have different regimes. You'll find you have parcels of land in different counties, and you find the rates that are paid whether in Kiambu or in Nairobi are quite different. So in whichever county that you are in, the first level is to check your documentation. If you've never paid any rates in whichever county you are in, so go back to your title and check whether it's a freehold or a leasehold. And immediately if you notice that your title is a leasehold, it means you should have been paying rates from day one, because any lease, it means this is a lease from the national government, and by virtue of that, it means there should be rates that are being paid. If it's a freehold title, of course within the rural areas or the ranches, most of the time you find you don't pay rates for that. But there are changes within the counties that are getting urbanized, like Kiambu County, Kajiado, and part of Murang'a, where you find that regardless of your tenure, and in this case I talk about freehold title, you find that you still have to pay rates, because you find that the piece of land that you own sits within an urban setup, maybe a municipality, maybe a city. But of course, the time you acquired this title, it was a freehold in nature. So you would also need to establish where your piece of land lies. So if your land is within any given municipality and it's a freehold title, kindly walk to your local county assembly, not local assembly, but local municipal council, or what we call the county, the local county offices, and establish whether you're supposed to pay for rates. Number two, how you were able to establish is at the point of you buying this piece of land. It's always important to inquire what tenure the land you're buying in is in. Is it a freehold? Is it a leasehold? Because those are the two major tenures that you find in these countries. Of course, there are the community lands, but the most common is the freehold and the leasehold. So at the point of you buying this piece of land, establish whether you're buying a leasehold title or you're buying a freehold title. And then once you establish that as part of your due diligence, the next level is to check whether the person selling you this piece of land was actually paying rates if the tenure is a leasehold title. And if it's a freehold title within the municipality, equally check whether the person selling you this piece of land was paying rates. And how do you establish this? Number one is requesting the land seller or the person selling the piece of land to give you a copy of the recent paid up rates. If you're buying land for this year, let's say 2026, by now we are in July, August, going to August, the landowner by now should have paid rates, or maybe they're preparing to pay for rates. And if they have not paid for rates for this year, for example, request them to give you a previous year rates payment receipt. And even some cases, also request them to give you a clearance certificate, basically what we call a rates clearance certificate, so that at least you're able to evaluate and establish that the rates have been paid. If the landowner has not been paying rates, it means they will not grant you that documentation as part of their title. So what you need to do, walk to the local county or the local municipality with the person selling the piece of land, copy of the title, and it will also be good to have a copy of the ID and the PIN for that person, and then go and establish whether they have been paying rates. If they've not been paying rates, the first level of due diligence, or the first thing that you ensure that they do, is to pay the rates. And if those rates are in arrears, make sure they pay all the arrears, make sure they pay all the penalties, and they update their records. Because if you don't do that, and you buy this piece of land, you proceed to buy this piece of land, it means at the time you go register for your rates payment, you'll have to pay the entire balance, or the entire arrears the seller had not paid. So it's always good to establish that, whether through your lawyer, your surveyor, or even yours truly here. Those are things we're able to help you to do at the county level. Then once you proceed and purchase this piece of land, as part of completion documents, one document that you need to secure immediately once you have the title in your name is a registration for rates payment at the county level. And I always recommend that the first time you register for rates, make sure you pay for the rates and also pay for clearance certificate. Of course, the clearance certificate is not required every year, but the first time you register for rates, secure a clearance certificate as well, so that goes into your file. So those are two levels you can establish by inquiring from the person selling the piece of land to give you the paid up rates receipt, or go and establish at the county level. Then what do you require to register for rates at the county level? Number one, of course, you require a copy of the title that bears your names as they appear in the ID, whether it is your individual names or the company names. So make sure that by the time you are going to register for it, the title is in your name. Okay, so ensure you secure the copy of the title. Number two, you must have the current search from the land office. Of course, they require a search that is not more than 90 days old. So make sure you get a copy, and also go with the original as you register for it. Number three, you require your ID. Make sure that you make copies of your ID. Make sure you make copies of your PIN certificate. And then at the county, they will be able to give you a valuation form. Basically, this is a form, a rateable, so not a valuation form, but a rates form, a rates registration form, where you fill your details. Basically, this is like applying to register for rates. Then you fill that form, and this form you will fill it at a rates office, where you basically find a valuer who will be able to do this process. And once the valuer fills all those details, they will be able to give you an invoice, which you pay, you get a receipt, and then take it back to the valuer so that they're able to grant you a rates clearance certificate. So basically, what I'm saying is that as part of completion documents, we talk about completion documents in land ownership. Rates payment is part of completion documents, is what makes you have a complete ownership of that piece of land. So ensure that you're paying rates, so that at least your land, your piece of ownership, your possession, or your presence in that piece of land, one way that is established is through rates payment. Then number 4, most of you are asking me, Gerard, I've not paid rates for 10 years, and how do I go about it? And my advice on this is that, number 1, the county governments from where you come from, they always give waivers. They mostly between May and June, they announce for waivers on penalties, and this is the best time to actually, if you have a layer, this is the best time to you take advantage of that window when there are waivers for penalties. Go to your county, do register for it. Of course, you'll pay for the balance, but at least you will not pay for penalties at that stage. And then make sure that from there you keep paying. Even if you jump 1 year or 2, at least every 1 or 2 years, make sure you pay for your rates. Keep your receipt as part of documentation, and then make sure that the piece of land that you're paying for rates, you frequent it. Don't just make it idle. Be present. Do something on it. Sometimes you can lease it. Sometimes you can. I spoke about using it for collateral, charge the title in the bank. Those are a form of securing that piece of land that you have. Of course, as I find rise, different counties, as I said, have different regime, and you find now, as per now, all the properties within the municipalities, cities, and most of the towns, or the counties that are within the metropolitan Nairobi metropolis, you'll find they are all rateable. Then the counties that are agricultural in nature, you'll find most of them you don't have to pay rates, but it's always important to establish from your local authority whether your piece of land is rateable. Thank you very much. Take a minute to like my page, to subscribe, so that at least we're able to share this information to more people out there in the society. Thank you very much, and see you in the next one.